and we'll start every episode with a reminder I'm the worst podcaster in the world. Today, joined by the one and only Joey Slye, the most jack kicker in the league. Joey, how's it going?
What up, bro? How you doing?
Living the dream, man. Living the dream. What's new?
Same old, same old. We still in the off season. Just back to work. February time frame for us is usually when we start getting into a little bit more strength training and sport specific stuff. But been enjoying this this meathead session that we've been doing for the last couple weeks and just getting our schedules figured out. But we're honing in on like 7 or 8 weeks until we start heading back to camp. So football's already back on, even though the Super Bowl was like last week. So
yeah, it's crazy. Honestly, I wasn't even planning to talk about this, but we talked about it already. Like the structure of the NFL season kind of just rails you in terms of like actually being prepared, because you get such a long season from, you could say it's 18 weeks, but really it's, when does camp start? Like the last week of July?
Yeah, training camp's usually like July, like 22nd or 25th or whatever it ends up being. So depending on coaches and all that stuff. So like if you have a new coach, you can report early. If you have an old coach, you can report whenever they want. Vets can report certain days, like rookies can report other days. It's like a whole mess with all the timing. Yeah, essentially you're looking at the last week or week and a half left of July. And then you're ripping, if you're in the playoffs, you're all the way until you get eliminated. So if you're in the Super Bowl, you go all the way until the the first week of February. And then if you win the Super Bowl, then you got parade, all that stuff. And then the second you're done, for the front office people and like coaches and all that, if you win the Super Bowl, you have the Senior Bowl's already happened while you're at the Super Bowl. Then you have Combine coming up at the end of this month. The 23rd, I think, is the first day. And then you got pro days all throughout March. And then you have end of April is draft. Rookies report for rookie minicamp either the first week or the second week of May. And then you're right back into it again. Yeah, the offseason for the NFL is probably not structure the best. I know we've had our conversations about this a lot of times, and I've been trying to work with the PA on shortening our actual physical need to be at the facility because of training purposes as a whole. We kind of handcuff ourselves on our time limitations that we have while we're at the facility. So I think when we report for early April training, we only have like an hour and a half or 2 hours we're allowed to be at the facility training, like mandatory hours, and that's
Right.
4 days. And so you're talking about like 8 to maybe 10 hours a week we're at the facility allowed to train. That's the problem. It's like allowed to train there, and then the rest of the time you're free to do whatever. And so I feel like it could be a lot better served being at home or being where your training group is, and yeah, kind of enjoying the actual break of football, and then you don't have to worry about getting back into football until you got 25 weeks or whatever it is for the actual season. So
Yeah, that's one of the more common questions I get, at least like in pre-script labs, is like periodizing for pro guys. Like, how do you periodize your programming? I'm like, I really don't. Like, I get, okay, like season for you guys ended January, whatever. Besides you, I'm yet to see any of the other guys yet. I was an hour away from going out there to see some guys, but that changed a little bit. Anyways, like most guys want to go on vacation, they want to rest, relax, whatever, which is like fuck yeah, like rightfully so. It's a long season. It's a collision sport. Not everybody's as posh as special teamers, the punters and kickers that can, take care of their bodies all year long. No.
No, you're looking though at like, we've had these talks a bunch, like guys' ability to actually recover. They don't understand like what recovery is, like what actually helps to build their body up for the next season. A lot of times they just think like getting away from sport and allowing their body to just sit on a couch and not do anything for a while, or go to the beach for 3 weeks and not do anything, is going to like help whatever problem they had throughout the season, and like obviously not training around those parameters and causing more injuries in the long run while you're training is obviously a good thing to do. But I
Right.
mean, you
I
can be
mean,
addressing those issues, which is what you've been trying to do with myself and countless other guys already.
but I think a lot of it's mental too. Like you want a mental break from work. Like you guys work so much and so hard for so long. I think it's more mental than physical. And I had B-Tran on a couple weeks ago. We talked about like, rest might make pain go away, but absence of pain doesn't mean that like your function is improved. So whatever caused it to begin with probably didn't get better. Although you might feel better, and those are things you could probably still work on while your body's not feeling the best, and you probably should work on to be actively improving whatever your underlying issues actually are. But going back to like, I guess what I was originally getting at, it's like, let's say most guys start up end of February, early March, like actually getting serious about training. And it's like, okay, OTAs are now in like 3 to 4 weeks. So maybe we get a block of a month of real training. Or if someone like you that fucking loves the gym, maybe it's like 6 weeks. And then OTAs last from what, like April until end of May,
It's like
early June.
phase one is like the first 2 weeks of April, or first two report weeks back in April, I think, and then like phase two is like the next 3 weeks, and I think like OTAs officially start like maybe in May, like mid May, and goes all the way through until you have that vet mini camp at like mid June. So you're talking about like 3 months of what is not ideal training circumstances, as well as like both in the weight room and on the field. Like you're a lot of that stuff is already starting football. So a guy has an injury, gets done with the season, you're expecting some recovery. Their only recovery away from that sport is going to be them dedicating 2 or 3 weeks of them chilling, and then when they come back, it's, hey man, I don't really want to push myself. I just want to kind of chill for a little bit. So you get a little bit of like, hey, can you just add some like mobility? Or I mean, we had a prescription of recently of you should go do different things like Pilates and yoga and stuff like that. It's like, okay, yeah, great. Like some guy that can't control their pelvis, have them go sit through a solid core class for an hour and a half, and then when their low back hurts and they can't run again, have them come back in April, run, not be able to, go out for football, get hurt, and then you have this complete panic from late May into June into early July of trying to get this person back on the field because the team's paid them $30 million. They don't play the preseason. They go out first 3 games of the year. They get hurt. They're rehabbing throughout the entire year. They might play the last end of the season, and then all of a sudden in the off season again, it's, hey man, I just want to take a couple weeks off. I just want to chill. I don't want to do anything. I was just hurt. This hamster wheel of death for these guys is just constant injury, and then not knowing how to actually fix the problem that's been reoccurring from year to year.
I think I'm going to bring Jordan on to talk about like proactive versus reactive recovery, but I feel like the industry as a whole, like this is not football specific. This is professional strength and conditioning. This is collegiate strength and conditioning. This is private sector strength and conditioning. Like it's all about like recovery, recovery, recovery. But then it's just like ice baths and sauna and red light. And it's like we're missing the forest for the trees here and what we can actually be doing to move the needle for people to recover faster. It's like maybe look at our workload. Maybe look at how we're moving even at a individual athlete level and start to fix some things there to improve how we manage load through our bodies. But it's not like keep pouring gas on the fire, then I'm going to get in the ice bath after. It's going to fix all my problems. Like, probably far from the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I think one, like the selling point of a lot of people is like simplicity doesn't sell. Like simplicity doesn't look cool. Simplicity doesn't like scratch the itch that a lot of people are looking for. And so if you were to say like scrap the sauna, scrap the hot tub, scrap the cold tub, scrap the, all these different modalities and ways for recovery, and just train correctly, like move well, program effectively, and then go out and exhibit the force that you've just built through your programming, you're going to have less injuries. And then you can go ahead and layer on, yeah, maybe a sauna can help with, vasodilation to help pump blood through the blah, 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 blah. Like, sure, cool. Yeah, go do it. Or, hey, yeah, the cold tub helps vasoconstricted so it can help with recovery and flushing out. Oh, yeah, cool. Go do it. But it's like, hey, let me beat you over the head with a hammer and then go get in the cold tub and hopefully you feel better tomorrow. It's like, as much as maybe the research and, maybe Joe Rogan and Andrew Huberman or whatever might talk about how well the cold tub does, it's like when you just beat the crap out of yourself and put yourself in like a detriment, you're not going to be able to just get in the cold tub and like wash it all away. It's not like holy water that's in there that's just like completely cleansing the entire person's body. There's just so many problems that end up coming up from their training, from everything. I mean, also just the fact that like football is such a contact sport when you're actually in the season, like all the just car accidents. Like if you have someone that's in like a traumatic car accident and you just walk them off the thing instead of them getting in an ambulance, like, hey, go get in the cold tub. You'll feel better tomorrow. It's like, no, I'm not. Like I'm mangled. Like I need something else that's going to be beneficial for me. And so I think a lot of times we skip over the simplistic or like just well-known, researched, whatever, because you can't make money off of it, or it's too simple that someone has to sound smarter than they actually are, when it's just like, yeah, if you just do these simple things, you're fine.
I think too, like just the decision to get in the sauna or get in the ice bath it's so easy. Like it requires so little effort that it really is it's a simple action to do. And you're like, oh, all I need to do to recover better or feel better is to do what these people are telling me. Like, get in the ice bath, get in the sauna, wear these special shoes that help me find equilibrium or whatever the fuck we're trying to sell now, like it's
no legit. Yeah, you see, like, I mean, you got the Vivio barefoot shoes. There's like, okay, this is how you walk barefoot. It's like, okay, well, we play in cleats. So it's like, you can do those things to help you find your feet when you're walking. But like, if you, like, I'm super externally rotated, I got super flat feet, all these things. If I put those shoes on and I can still continue to walk like I'm walking in sleds or in skis up a hill, then like I'm never going to get into my foot just because I put shoes on that has my toes dangling out of them and everyone can see how awkward my toes look. Then it's like, it doesn't make me get into my feet. It just makes me walk with stupid shoes on. But like, there's actually like things that you can do within the weight room, whether it's, changing certain aspects of a lift or, I mean, we talk about this in great length. I know, obviously, with Jordan and everything with Prescript, like you guys are talking about elevating the heel in certain ways or maybe elevating certain parts of the foot. I know, or not Marcus. Yeah. Up in Canada that works with, you know what I'm talking about. He was down at
maybe just keep talking and I'll figure it out.
He's got
Dante. Yeah.
Yeah, and Dante does like a lot of stuff with like the slant boards and stuff in different positions.
Yeah. He has some super cool stuff for like the wrist and the hands too. I'm gonna have him on at some point as well and talk about that stuff.
Yeah, and so it's like instead of trying to make this person meet these like random parameters that I'm making, like let me just, again, like we talk about it, like let's raise the floor to the feet to make the feet do what we want it to do, or let's raise the floor to the hands to make the hands do what we want to do. So we get the function, we get the body moving like it's supposed to, and then all of a sudden, guess what? Like this person feels better, and then like you take the ground away, and they actually go back to the regular ground, and they can move better. Then you put them in a pair of Jordans, and they go out, and I think the one guy that he was working with, Neem Harden or whatever, kid for Indiana, was like
baller.
Yeah. So it's like some of this stuff is not hard to do or manage. It's just you got to have the confidence to tell a guy like, hey, this is going to be really simple. We're not going to do a lot of stuff, but you're going to feel substantially better with what we do. You just got to trust me. And
well, in my experience, like I've with every guy I've worked with that's been dealing with like little stuff like this, I've been able to get buy-in so quickly just because like quick explanation, but if you can coach them in the right positions, they're going to feel it right away. And then they're like, oh, athletes are so smart when it comes to how in tune they are with their bodies. If you explain like an idea to them and get them in that position and they feel it, they're going to be like, they're so reactive to that in a positive way.
Yeah, I mean, you've worked with it through me, going through like our college and like my NFL experience and seeing guys work, and even just talking to some of the players that throughout the years with me that, I see them in the weight room doing things, and I just kind of, I don't say much, but I say enough to let them know like, hey, you don't need to be like you're doing a step up and you're rolling all over the place. It's just like, hey, just focus on this one little cue, and then that's it. Or
Oh, hold on. Let's back up for a second.
yeah,
Let's talk about why you have credentials here. You're not just an average NFL player. First off, you're a certified meathead since probably the age of 13. As soon as you're old enough to be allowed in the weight room, meathead certified. Also, you have your CSCS still?
I don't because I didn't re-up on it.
Okay, but you had your CSCS. That's worth something. Prescript level 1, prescript level 2, adjunct level 3, I believe. You're down there for a week. We can give you some props there, I think. But anyways, you're as far as my clients go, you're one of the most like cerebral people I've ever trained in terms of training and asking questions and thinking about training in a very like forward thinking way, which I mean, most athletes honestly don't care about. So if you want to just give some background on yourself.
Yeah. So the weight room started for me when I was in eighth grade. So yeah, 12, 13, probably whatever age that was. Um, my older brother was already in high school. He had brought me in to go to his spring/summer baseball training, and they let me come in and work out with him just because my mom worked at the school. They thought I was going to play baseball when I actually didn't, but that's besides the point. But one of the coaches that was in there was teaching like very good form with a lot of stuff. Like our anatomy and physiology teacher in high school, which I ended up taking that class my senior year. His name was Coach Casillas, Don Casillas. He coached for the Washington Redskins at the time, Commanders now,
Sick.
and was with the Cincinnati Reds. And I got super in love like with lifting just because I was in the weight room and I wanted to get bigger, faster, stronger for my sports that I was playing. I played soccer in high school and football in high school. I ran track my senior year, but that was just more for fun. I didn't run. I threw shot put and discus, but
I was gonna say I was gonna ask the question there.
did not move my legs like that. I threw shot put and discus just because I didn't want to play soccer because I didn't want to get hurt for football. I like going into my freshman year of college, so I had to leave soccer behind. I was also 220, so playing soccer that weight was
Dude,
just
I gotta
not
add
very
though.
conducive.
I gotta add. What was I at? Was it your baby shower when I met your soccer coach?
Yeah, wrestler.
And he was just telling me how much of a baller you were at soccer. Like apparently Joey was legit at soccer in high school.
Yeah, I was 120 pounds when I walked in my freshman year of high school, and I left at 225. So
You outgrew the sport.
it was my ability to hold my leg up to control a ball when it was getting passed to me was completely going away because that leg went from being like 25 pounds to being like 60, and I did not have the strength to control it. But yeah, throughout high school, I even took like a sports med class in high school, so just started really falling in love with like this kind of anatomy and physiology training, sports specific stuff, whatever it was. And then obviously I played sports my whole life, so being around something that involves sports was really important to me. I kind of had like a little bit of an awkward position when I was going into college because I was actually a architectural and building construction major when I went in, and then quickly shifted towards human nutrition, food, and exercise at Virginia Tech. It's a big, long name for a major, but essentially just health and kinesiology with more of a specificity in like science, food, nutrition, and exercise was like the bracket off of that major that I took. And so that was kind of like that science and kinesiology field. What really like put me into this idea of like not coaching, but relatively coaching was when I was at Virginia Tech. My first 2 years I was there, we had Mike Gentry as our strength coach. Great dude, Iron Palace. Like you could read up about Gentry with all the old like just meathead muscle guys, all this stuff. Yeah, he's a legend within strength and conditioning. But the next Coach Fuente, when he came in after he took over for Beamer, brought in Ben Hilgert, who was at Arizona State under Joe Ken. And me and Ben are super close still to this day. He let me like pretty much intern with him when I did my senior seminar project, which was I had to get a certain amount of field hours within our major and whatever we wanted to do for our research project. He essentially like let me help coach at certain points. So I'd go in and work out, and then like during one of the groups, I'd stay back and I would literally like help coach some of the freshmen or some of the injured guys with him, or the other assistant coach was Anthony Crosby. So they really poured into me when I was
Shout
there.
out Crosby.
Yeah, Crosby's a great dude. And so both of them just really helped kind of instill this want of, getting into S&C at some point in my life. When I got done with football at Tech and I was trying to get into the league, my first year I didn't get picked up. So that whole year I was trying to figure out like what I need to do, because when you don't get drafted, you don't get picked up as an undrafted free agent, you don't really have a lot of workouts. It ends up kind of like looking reality in the face of like, okay, I need to make like my plan B exit for what is second to the league needs to come a little bit quicker than I thought. So I got my CSCS. At that time, I thought was the gold standard of, credentials for strength and conditioning stuff. So I got my CSCS, started training some kids in the local area to get ready for college. A lot of them were going D1 or D1 AA at the time, just because I knew what they were going to expect when they walked in that freshman year, and I didn't want them to have like a huge learning curve, because I do think a lot of times guys that are able to go in and establish themselves as like dominant figures when they're freshmen have obviously a better opportunity to play, because they kind of get the weight room and all that stuff figured out quicker. They start leading that group, and then all of a sudden the coaches see that leadership quality and aspect, and then they get, if they were third on the depth chart when they walked in as a freshman, because there was a junior and a senior on that depth chart, they may be the first freshman on that 3 deep, and then all of a sudden they get a couple reps. They're now a freshman that has potential. They get more reps and more reps. They don't redshirt. They end up playing, and then their trajectory of their career ends up taking off in a completely different light. If they don't do that, they walk in, they get absolutely smashed as freshmen. They get redshirted. Then the next class comes in. They might be behind one of the true freshmen that does know what they're doing. Like, there's just that whole politics of college football that starts coming into play.
Yeah, it's easy to get behind, especially too. That was back before all the transferring shit. So like, if you get buried in the depth chart, like you're kind of fucked.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it might be even worse now, because you go to a school, you're a freshman, you don't play. All of a sudden, you're going in as a redshirt freshman, and now it's like, okay, this is my opportunity now. The senior might have left, or whoever was in front of me. Well, guess what? They're transferring in a redshirt senior.
Yeah,
like
they brought in some dude from
years.
Some dude from Walmart State that balled the fuck out. Now he's playing
legit.
D1.
Yeah, so it's like you got this guy, like he's literally like 23 years old, and you're still like, 19, fresh, still kind of like not knowing what's going on. And so I think a lot of times I felt like I should instill that in a lot of the guys that I was training when I was in the league that first year. So then in 2019 got picked up, went to Carolina. And
wait, can we talk about where you went originally?
Oh yeah. Well, 18, I had rookie minicamp offers. I went to Cleveland and LA Chargers for rookie minicamp. Didn't get signed from either one. So then 2019, I got invited to the New York Giants rookie minicamp. Did well, got signed off of that, got cut. Literally, like, I got signed on that Monday. I came home, like they let us come home. I got my car. That next week I was reporting back, came back for like our first week of spring training for rookies, which was like mid-May. That's when like OTAs start. Came back, in 2 days I got cut. So then drive home, got a freaking speeding ticket in Maryland with those stupid traffic camera stop things.
Yeah.
So I pretty much just drove all the way back up there to get a ticket and come home. And then they were like, "Stay ready, because we're gonna try to bring you back." Didn't have a chance to play there, but they just wanted to see if they could, build me up as a good either trade piece, or the special teams coordinator that was there, T-Mac, really wanted to just give me an opportunity because he felt like I was good enough to play in the league. So go there, come back for training camp. Was there for 3 days.
Who was the quarterback there at the time?
Oh, Eli.
Yeah. Can you tell us about your interaction with Eli Manning? It was like one of your first days, wasn't it?
It was that springtime. would be right before I got cut. It was like the day before I got cut. I walk out there. It's like our first like kind of practice that I was there for. I suit up, not even kicking, just literally out there to just warm up and leave. Essentially, is what we do. Um, but I go out there and Eli's warming up. He's doing his little kind of quarterback thing where he's
Yeah.
doing the arm movement, walking around the field, and I kind of just being an idiot, just kind of walked past him like, "Hey, Eli," and he's like, "Hey, Joey, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Kicker?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I was looking at the depth chart. You have the smallest hands on the team." And I was like, yeah. I mean, I am a kicker, so it's probably the best thing that my hands are the smallest on the team." And he's just like, "Yeah, I thought that was really peculiar. You had really small hands." And he just like walks away. And I was like, "All right, cool. Yeah, definitely."
Yeah, that was like a fuck you, don't mock me again, little boy.
I learned through the grapevine that that Eli had some like little prankster stuff with him. Like obviously he's the little brother in that family, so he's definitely gonna have like a little bit more of the kind of poke at the older brothers and kind of piss them off, make them mad, and just kind of run away laughing. He had some other stuff that I had heard that was pretty funny, but that was just I mean I was shocked that he knew who I was because at that point like I'm the undrafted free agent signee from a rookie minicamp that literally got cut the next day because of numbers, and then I got brought back for training camp. 3 days in training camp, got cut just because of numbers again. And then obviously I work towards like a week later. So I come home, I'm training. Uh, I'm actually squatting, like I'm squatting heavy as crap. I got 405 on my back. I just finished like my third set at like 405 for three, rack it up, and I get a call on my headphones from not my agent that I was currently at that time representing me, but my previous agent that I fired. And he was calling me, and I was just like, "Dude, what does this guy want?" Already kind of scammed me out of some stuff earlier, so I was completely off on him. So he's calling me, and I'm just like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And he's like, "Hey, so I don't know if you've updated your information on your agent, but with the PA, but I got a call from the Carolina Panthers, and they want to bring you in for a workout." I was like, "Oh shoot, okay, yeah, let me call my agent, make sure we're good to go." So I call my actual agent, Glenn at the time, or Glenn, who's who represents me, and he calls like, "Yeah, they want to sign you, or they want to work you out, and you're the only one flying out, so go fly out, go do well, and hopefully they'll sign you." So get signed from that, and then I had 2 years in Carolina, and the rest has kind of been awkward history for me. But yeah, it's been a grind.
Bouncing around. You were here for a bit. You were up here for 2 years, right?
Yeah, so Carolina for two, and then that 1 year when I got cut, it was Houston for like 4 weeks, San Fran for 4 weeks, and then finish up in Washington that year. And then signed back 2 years in Washington, then New England for a year, Tennessee for a year, and now we're free agency. See what's happening.
My favorite trend is you being on shitty teams, and then the next year they make it to the Super Bowl or to like the NFC Championship game.
I'm glad it's your favorite. Yeah, if you're a betting man, and for some reason I am not in Tennessee, then yeah, I would go ahead and put
Play
money on
some
them.
futures.
Yeah, plays a future that they're going to make the Super Bowl or something because Washington I get released from or I don't get signed back to, and they go to the NFC Championship, and then New England last year I didn't get signed back, and they go to the Super Bowl. So
Unreal, dude. I always find it funny, like our proximity before me even like or knowing each other.
yeah,
Like you were at Tech, I grew up in Radford. I worked over in Blacksburg. Probably you would have been in the league already. But then like I was already getting connected with Jordan by then, and then Jordan started working with you, and I was like, oh, thought that was super cool because I had known who you were for forever. And then I figured out that you trained at New River Fitness.
yeah. The guy that owned it at the time was named Taylor. I don't remember Taylor's last name, but um, me and Colton Taylor, my best
Of course.
friend, yeah, my long snapper, we were looking for a place to work out during, I think it was like the winter when we were at Tech, but I think this was our sophomore year maybe, and Gentry wouldn't let us work out in the weight room at the time because he was like, y'all don't need to be working out here, which to be honest with you, we didn't need to be working out at that time. We had already worked out with them. We didn't need an
He should
extra
have known
workout.
though. He should have known you
Oh
were gonna go
yeah,
somewhere else.
I was gonna find somewhere, and obviously, like I could have honestly went over to the barbell club, which was like right there on campus, but I was like, I don't think that that's a place that we can. I had no idea why I didn't just pick that. So we're looking around for gyms, and we see the New River Fitness one, and we were over in Maple Ridge, which is like down that way anyway. So I was like, I can just get on the little back roads and rip over there. Um, so we went there like 11 o'clock at night, and yeah, I mean, we would that place is both awesome and horrible at the same time. Like it's probably the best and worst gym that you could probably ever go to, but it was
No,
sick for
it's
us.
it's exactly what you think of when you want to think of like a grungy, like hole in the wall kind of gym. Like when I started going there was actually after you would have been there. I didn't start going there till I think post COVID. It was after I moved back from college. Maybe my senior year of college when I go home, I started going there. Basically, like they just stopped managing it. I have no idea what the current state is. I'm talking shit right now or not, but like I think they just stopped managing it. So there was never an employee there, like ever. And then one of
Yeah.
my friends had a code, so by proxy, like 10 of us used one membership because like even if you wanted to go in and buy a day pass or buy a membership, there was like nobody ever there.
No, yeah, I mean that's like I don't know what they were bringing in a month because I mean when we would go, I felt like we could just walk in that place, and I don't
Yeah.
think yeah it was an awesome gym. I wish that that space was put somewhere else because I do think that it has like some good character to it, but it is definitely a grunge gym for sure.
Yeah. So yes, we both knew of that gym, which I was so shocked Joey knew of that gym. We both were acquainted with Jordan. I guess a better question would be too, like what made you seek out in your career working with Jordan? So basically Joey worked with Jordan for how long?
I mean I contacted him in 2020, right after my rookie season because um, I just felt like my way of thinking about training was in opposition to a lot of stuff that was going on in the NFL weight room, and then especially for kickers in an NFL weight room. Like, not to get into like the deep weeds of everything, but I filled in for a guy named Graham Gano, who is a legend within kicking. He's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I love Graham, and was killing it in Carolina. Well, he had like broken his femur or something. Like there's something wrong with his leg, and part of what they were concerned about was that he had sustained this injury through training. So probably the worst person they could have picked to come in and be like, "Hey, we don't want you training like that in the weight room." I'm like, "What?" Like, yeah, we don't want you squatting that heavy. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and squat that heavy. It's like, we don't want you doing this. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. And so there's a little bit of a. I was naive enough to think that what I was doing was perfect, but I also knew that I didn't really know everything that I wanted to know about training at that point. But I also felt like this like fear of training heavy was like complete bullshit. And I was like, there's no reason why I can't do these things. You're fearful of it, and you're fearful that I'm going to get hurt. But I mean, a huge thing with shallow is just like don't do corrective exercises, do exercises correctly. So I'm just sitting there going, I'm not going to hurt myself unless I do something stupid. But I'm not doing anything stupid, so I'm probably not going to hurt myself. And so I felt like listening to a couple of his podcasts, seeing him on social media a bunch, I was just kind of like, this guy, I feel like is under the same thought process that I am, or at least like this is the path of training that I want to go down versus this again, like this very fearful, like, you're in the league, but you don't train heavy. Like I just didn't understand that, especially coming from college where we had big squat Fridays. Like Coach Hilgert was like the big meathead. We had Gentry, who was like the biggest meathead. Like some of our cards would just be like super heavy lifting the entire year. You were just trying to get as big as strong as you freaking could. Like that was the entire program was like get big as fuck and get strong as fuck. That was it. Like football was kind of almost second to that. And so when you walk into this NFL program and they're kind of like, you don't really need to do this, you don't really need to do that, and for whatever reasons they had specified, I just kind of was like, I don't buy it. Like I don't think that this is what is like injury prevention is not doing anything hard. Like that's not the way to stop people from getting injured. It's just to like keep them away from doing anything that might be a high intensity or a high stress or whatever it is. Like you should be actually feeding into that more. You just need to coach them on how to do that.
I think the
And
whole fragile to like you're gonna hurt yourself in the weight room is one of like the lowest IQ takes in the entirety of the industry. And that's not even just like S&C. That's in like, common population training. That's in whatever longevity propaganda is still out there. It's like, oh, you can never deadlift. You can never do this heavy. It's not like the risk reward ratio is not there. I'm like, what? I don't even look at it as risk versus reward. It's just like, what's the reward? There's not even really inherently a risk, but for me, and this is kind of a direction we've got on your training a bit, but it's like, how much of a reward is there for me to take you from a 500-pound squat in an off season to a 525 squat versus a player that's like squatting 185? Like probably getting them from 185 to 315 is going to have a massive benefit for them, and not only their athleticism but their durability. So it's kind of just like, I don't see a risk for either person because it comes down to what you're saying, which is just like intelligent programming, intelligent coaching, making sure we're doing the right things the right way. That's really all I need to say about it, right? It's not,
yeah,
there's no risk to that. If there is risk, we're doing one of those things wrong.
yeah, but I think when even referencing the point where you're like, I don't think it's going to be beneficial to take someone from a 500 to a 525-pound squat. There's that side of it where it's like, yeah, I don't know if I really need to like keep on pushing this person to a further extent. And there is that like gain that you can have from someone that can only do 185 to like if they should be doing 405. But like one of my biggest frustrations is just if I can do a 525-pound squat, but I don't ever go over anything above like 285 because you're afraid that I'm going to like snap my low back, then there's like a huge problem here. Like you either have like a complete inability to do the exercise correctly, which is a problem in itself, or you have someone that's programming them to never exhibit the force that they're going to create and generate while they're playing their sport. Like a 525-pound squat is going to come out at some point while they're doing something. Like that force and ability to generate that much power is going to come out eventually. And if I haven't really like touched that or like been able to figure out if this person can withstand this over time, they're going to blow something out. Like, yeah, my car can maybe hit like I mean, you have that the speed gauge that goes up to like 175 miles per hour, or whatever it ends up being on that on your top speed. But if like you don't do that on a regular basis, you're gonna blow your car like you're gonna blow your tire off. You just never touch that and you're never used to driving like that. And so I feel like a lot of times we just throttle people back so much because like, oh, you can squat 700 easily for like a triple, but if I put 315 on your back on a Wednesday, you're gonna have low back pain and you're not gonna be able to play this weekend. It's like, how does that make any sense whatsoever? Like I just feel like that's not the right way to look at it. Or hey, maybe a squat isn't the best exercise for this person for this week. It's like, okay, that's fine.
But yeah, that's how I view it. I'm like, if
But
you can
then
squat
again,
700,
but then again,
like,
if I have them do a different exercise like a Bulgarian split squat or a hack squat, then it's like, okay, well, I just changed the confines of this of what he may do so that we can make it like better for them and have maybe this risk mitigation. But then I only load them on a Bulgarian split squat with like a 50-pound dumbbell. Then
no,
they can
load that
squat
shit up.
700
Yeah,
pounds.
yeah.
It's like load the shit at it. Like you just did this risk mitigation to not put as much weight on their back so they don't hurt themselves. But then you still got to reach the same stimulus. So then imply that stimulus, like apply that stimulus to them to make sure that they can still get the tap into what they need to. That's where like hearing Jordan talk about things like that, or at least having the conversations about things like that, I was like, I need to reach out to him and just see like how do I start critically thinking about training from someone like this versus reading the CSCS textbook, reading the National Strength and Conditioning Association textbook and being like, oh, like hypertrophy is at only rep ranges from 8 to 12, and that's the only technical way that you're able to. It's like,
Dude,
shut up. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, this is the most cookie cutter bullshit excuse of like training principles. Let's like learn from someone that actually has a grasp of it. And that's obviously why you probably went to him as well with some of the stuff that you were doing.
yeah, absolutely. The moment I stopped studying for the CSCS was when I started reading like how far away I need to keep squat racks from one another. I'm like, is this really what I'm gonna be tested on? Like organizational structure of the weight room?
I think that like I mean I don't want to go down this complete like patch of weeds, but like you're looking at like who sets the standards for these training principles and what they teach, and like it's essentially a lawyer that's able to dictate whether or not you can get sued for what you do. And it's like you probably shouldn't have had that person doing that rep range because that rep range was in these confines that we could technically sue you for like negligence. It's like that's not that is not training. Like that is we are trying to see how strong, like big, fast, strong, everything, agility, power, whatever it ends up being, like our measurement. We are trying to get those to the greatest extent that we can when we're training people under certain confines, and then see if they can exhibit that within sport if you're doing sport specific training. And we instead of doing that, we're just doing like, well, we're just gonna like kind of keep you busy so that you don't hurt yourself in training, and then we'll just see how the season goes, and hopefully you don't hurt yourself in the season. It just the two things are in complete opposition of each other at every point. Like, hey, we want you to run faster. We want you to get bigger and faster for your sport so that you don't get cut. But in the off season, we're not going to do anything that is important enough for you to get bigger and faster and stronger. So you're probably going to get cut. It's like, have this dance with me throughout every single off season, and then keep going back to the same people trying to figure out like why did such and such not make it in the league for as long as they could? Why did this person, lose out on millions of dollars of their contract because of whatever? It's like, here's all the reasons for it. Their training looks like shit. And, we've established that over multiple situations.
Yeah. On the flip side too, though, I hate the fucking armchair experts that are like, oh, if this person trained like me, they would be so much better off. They would make so much more money. Because like one of my guys probably, they goes the first drive or second drive in preseason. I've been working with him for the last like month. He was looking sick. He looked awesome in OTAs. He gets a linebacker thrown into his ankle. His ankle gets all messed up. And I'm like, I wish I could say we could have done any number of things to prevent that, but also like football's a contact sport. So there's like, some of it is inevitable. I think a lot of it is actually preventable. I just talked about that somewhere. If it wasn't with B-Tran, it was on RX Radio with Genta or something. But it's like there's so much we can do, and I do believe like the phrase injury reduction or injury mitigation. It's like it's largely the same thing, and people just have these semantical arguments about like one versus the other. But I think we can reduce risk of injury, right? We can prevent injury even by doing certain things if we have the foresight to see like, these things can cause these issues. If we fix these things, it should get rid of these issues. But I don't think we can solve for everything. So I guess my main point there.
Yeah, but that's just, I think there's always been kind of this coaching mantra of like, I can't prevent injuries. And I just think that's a very lazy take on what your job actually
it's
does.
So lazy. I mean, it's just saying that your job doesn't matter, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, that's exactly what you're saying. It's just like, hey, I can't stop my person from getting injured. So that's kind of what training is for. Like, that's maybe a large pillar of what your training program is like injury prevention. And so I think that they almost chalk it up as like, again, football is a contact sport. You're going to have these injuries, and you are. But like, there's injury mitigation. Like, there's certain severities that you can probably lessen of an injury if you have the right training. And then a lot of the non-contact stuff is completely preventable. And now
right.
I think that we a lot of times within training kind of take the athlete's ability for this stuff out of it completely. And I do think that there's a lot of problems with that. I mean, working with NFL guys or being around NFL guys, like, there's guys that take it as serious as they can, and there's guys that don't take it seriously. And so you're talking about, this guy had a non-contact injury. You look at the strength coach and like, hey, that's your fault. It's like, that guy hasn't slept well in like 3 days.
Yeah, hasn't slept well, hasn't ate well, has mad stress in his personal life, is a slapdick in the weight room, has never taken the weight room seriously. The substation's right next to the practice facility.
No, I mean, legit. Like, they just continually, they end up going out there on a Sunday and they have to perform at their best, and their body's not even close to be ready to do what they need to do, and they end up getting hurt. And again, a lot of times it's looked at like as the strength coach or the people that are around them, like the nutritionists or dietitians or physical therapists or ATCs on staff. It's like, oh, like why did this guy get hurt? You guys should stop this. It's like there's a lot that needs to happen for the athlete to do the right things to get ready to play sports. But I do think that there's like this lack of ability there's sometimes a lack of buy-in from the athlete, but then there's almost like a mistrust from the athlete to the people, because a lot of times they're like, I trusted this person with everything I had, and they led me down this path of just like insanity. Like this is not the best thing for us to do. So
Yeah, I think I just talked about it with Genta in pretty great detail on RX Radio, but there's like not only all the lifestyle factors you mentioned of the player, there's not only the, what are we actually doing from a training perspective? Like what's the load management of practice like the culture of the coach, like I'm sure I was talking with our boy Sean about Coach Signetti, Indiana, and he's like, dude, we practice like 2 hours a week, like on the field. Like maybe that's an over exaggeration, but like they're on the field practice hours for a national championship team. I guess when he was there, they went like 10-2, made the playoffs, but like they weren't like getting their ass kicked on the field at all. Like they were very much like heavy on the film room, heavy on the drill work, whatever, to get ready. Then when you're on the field, it's like fucking game time, which is a lot of coaches are the opposite, where it's like 3-hour practices. I don't know if there's like regulations on the NFL or anything like that, but there's that side of things. And there's also the culture of like making guys play injured. If you look at, like, I went down the rabbit hole of like all these like MetLife turf injuries, the NBA Achilles injuries. If you look at it, like an overwhelming percentage of them are returning from an injury, or they're playing hurt. So they're actively playing hurt. Think like Tyrese Halliburton blowing his Achilles with a strained calf. I think Kittle had a hamstring injury when he blew his Achilles out this year. So it's like guys are playing hurt.
He had an ankle injury.
Ankle injury. There we go.
He literally got he got a hip drop tackle that he was complaining about was a hip drop tackle, and they said that it wasn't a hip drop tackle, and he ended up hurting his ankle. And then like the next week he's trying to recover from it, but he wants to play in the NFC Championship game or whatever they were in, and he blows his Achilles or the divisional round. So it's like, yeah, guys, you have all these like prior injuries. I mean, you learned this from when you were playing football when you were in like Pop Warner. It was like there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. And a lot of guys are playing through injury, like being hurt. Like there's a lot of stuff that they got going on. There's a lot of problems they got. Like I literally know a guy this year that literally is an All-Pro, Pro Bowler, all these things, and like was working with like a huge injury the entire season and was still able to dominate. And so it's like,
right, which is scary.
No, yeah, I mean, legitimately, it's one of those things where it's like, well, when he's healthy, like what is he going to be able to do? But you just look at like what guys are able to still withstand while they're hurt, and you're gonna have to deal with that. And I know I'm kind of speaking from way outside looking in because of my position. I don't get hit by people every single day, so it's like it's not the same. But I've seen it for 7 years at the highest level. I've seen it for 4 years at a high college level. Like I've seen this throughout my career. There is this weird push and pull between like do we send guys out or do we have to pull them back? Like, does a guy really need to play, or are we trying to force him to play, or is he trying to get himself off the field and do we have to push him out there? And there's a lot of like different little challenges that are going on with every one of these decisions. Like, hey, we need this guy out there. We need George Kittle. Like San Francisco needs George Kittle 100%. Like the dude is one of the best tight ends in the league. He fits their scheme perfectly. He knows it like the back of his hand. He like runs. He's like a huge part of their offense. So it's like,
dude,
hey,
have you seen the stats on him? Basically, he is like the most important tight end in the history of the NFL from a point swing perspective. Like I think they average like 8 extra points per game when he's playing versus when he's not playing.
Dude, he's unreal. Like he is a freak on the field. And so it's like, if San Fran has got to figure out this decision of, do I keep him on the field and we have a higher chance of winning, or do we pull him but he could maybe still play, he maybe can't? And do we like risk the fact that he might hurt himself? I don't know. Like you just gotta like play these gamble. Like you gotta roll the dice on some of these things. But I do think that there's just ample amount of opportunities within maybe training through the offseason, training through the season, recovery, modality, whatever it ends up being, that's like you could probably figure out better ways to get these guys. Like they're looking now at like the EMF on the field for San Fran of being like, oh, the reason why everyone's getting hurt is because of these electrical freaking towers next to this practice facility. Like, you want to go that route.
Who else? You know who else was in that? I think there was 3 teams. I think it was the Niners, the Rams, and then the Titans all apparently have a substation near. Is that true? Is there like a substation near you guys' facility? You don't know. Anyways, it's like, but if you look at the variance in like the 49ers, for example, I forget how they rank injuries in the NFL, but it's like by games missed, and then like certain positions are weighted heavier than others. Like if your quarterback gets hurt, then like him missing a game weighs more heavily on the overall statistic. But anyways, like the Niners, I think were like 30 something this year in the NFL, and then like a year or 2 years ago they were like second. And the strength coach is the same. Like everything else, the EMF station was still there, right? Staff's the same, the coach is the same. So it's like there's so much variance there. It's hard for you just to be like, oh, the strength coach sucks. Oh, it's the coach's fault. Oh, it's the substation. It's like I think everything we talked about for the last however many minutes kind of paints a broader picture of like some of these things we can. Yeah, you love him, right?
The strength coach, dude, he's awesome. He's one of the better ones that I've been around. So it's like if you're gonna sit there and say like, oh, it might be the strength coach, it's like principle and like training and programming and all this stuff. Like if you really want to look at that, like he's probably one of the better ones within the league that I've been around. So it's like
absolutely
you can't put all of it on them. But then again, I'm looking at our programming throughout the off seasons, and those are maybe if you went through their entire offseason program for all those guys, not like what they do at the facility, but what they do outside the facility. It's like, well, let me see what these guys do. Like, oh, this person loses 25 pounds. It goes on like a freaking juice cleanse every like January till March, and then all of a sudden they try to regain this weight back, and it's like, what are we doing?
I would love to see the percentage of players. So like I would assume most guys work with somebody in the private sector in the off season. For those that do not do that, I would love to see the percentage of players that actually do their off season program sent to them by the strength coach. I would imagine it's less than 5%.
Yeah, I mean it's,
probably 1%, if even. 0.
It's probably closer to 0 than you think.
But and it's my point there is like defending the strength coaches. Like you can do what you can do, but like if someone's not going to follow your plan, like that's not on you, you know?
Yeah, like if you might be the most competent person you can be, and this has been my argument for years with this stuff. It's like you could be who we think is like. Let's put it out there. We think that Jordan's like one of the best minds within SNC in the world. You can put Jordan on a team. He's the team guy, and you have him go through an entire season with a group, and he might have half the team injured. And you're like, well, I thought he was the guy that was supposed to know how to do this. And it's like, you handcuff me in April, May, and June because I only get a few hours with these guys. And guess what? As soon as the coaches are allowed to talk to them, it goes from being in the weight room to being on the field. So now I don't even really get to work with them. So I don't get to see them in January, February, March. They come in. I have no idea what conditioning they're in because they've been working with someone, and I might have them working with the best person in the offseason. I might have them working with their boy from back home that didn't make it in the league, that's got their own training facility back home.
Feet doctor.
Yeah, and they're just sitting there like, hey, bro, come back to my spot. I got a whole bunch of young kids that work here. I got freaking our boy down in my hometown that's training them in their basement. But like, you could have that. And then all of a sudden they come back in April, and it's like, okay, well now they're already messed up. I got to try to fix this. You got like 3 weeks. You're not going to get anything done. So it's like, okay, let me just make sure I don't hurt this guy going into the spring. And that's the whole mindset. It's like, okay, well, I don't like where they're at. Let's not hurt them right now. Let's get them ready for football in May and June. All of a sudden they leave. We got a 6-week break before we come back for training camp. They're gone from them then. So when they come back in late July, it's like, all right, I got to make whatever I got now, and I've barely been able to talk to them all year. I got to take this guy now and make sure they're healthy for 22 weeks, 25 weeks, whatever it ends up being. If you go all the way to the Super Bowl, it's like, how do I do that when I don't get to change these very important variables that are necessary for them to stay healthy throughout the year? Like, oh my God, this is one of our fastest guys. He runs 22 miles per hour, but guess what? He can't do a front foot elevated split squat. He is shaking around like a leaf. Like this guy has no ability to break. So all of a sudden he's running gunner reps in the middle of OTAs in April or May and someone pushes on him a little bit and he tears his ACL. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
damn, I needed this guy. It's like, well, it would have been nice to be able to work with him. You know, it would have been nice to be able to get some actual adaptions to this guy to make sure he didn't hurt himself. But we don't. We both A, don't get that opportunity because of the scheduling, but then B, I think a lot of the guys that you might be working with in the private sector, or sadly some of the people that are in the league, like they just don't know what they're doing. Like they have no idea.
Yeah. I think too, like the visual representation of what you see in the private sector going on for a lot of training is like guys doing footwork drills and speed work. And I'm not saying it's not better to get faster, to get stronger, or to improve whatever of these qualities, but I find so many of these guys just like they're already the best athletes in the world. All they need is a little bit more variability. Like they don't have any movement variability at all. So like to extract or to expand on that, like they basically lack range of motion in a lot of different ways. They don't have awareness of how to use their body to do different movements or movement patterns we might give them. So like giving them some awareness, like how to control the pelvis, how to organize the rib cage, how to access some of these planes of motion. And it's not so that they can now be thinking about that on the field, but it's like if you just give them a little bit in an isolated setting, they're going to be able to express that way better on the field. And like that's all these guys really need. And again, some could afford to get stronger, some could afford to get faster, right? We could still improve qualities, but I think like my main focus with a lot of guys most of the time is like, hey, you're already fast, you're already strong most of the time. Like you're good at football, you're just like beat up a little bit and you move kind of shitty. If I make you move better, you tend to feel better, you play for longer, make more money. Like clip that there,
No, 100%. And I think, I mean, a simplistic way that I think about it is just like challenge them in positions that they're not good at, and then give them exercises that strengthen those challenges so that it's not challenging for them anymore. Like that's essentially like what you're trying to accomplish. Like again, put them in a front foot elevated split squat. What is that going to challenge? Like, can they get hip internal rotation? Can they get hip extension? No. Okay. What do you need that for? A bunch of different things within your sport. So let's go ahead, figure out why you can't do it. Go ahead and fix that, strengthen that. Then go ahead and put you back in this position, strengthen it. And then all of a sudden, now you can control your pelvis in space. Now you can like go ahead and accelerate and decelerate. Like you can do these things better, because I think a lot of times they think, and this is something I've really been kind of contemplating on, is like a lot of guys want to get stronger. So it's like, okay, well, like what? They want to get faster. Like I was thinking about this the other day of like golf training. Like a lot of things within golf training is just trying to get like club head speed. And it's like, okay, well, you can get a faster club head speed, but like what is golf? Like what is like this aspect of golf that you're trying to do? It's like this is a skill. Like this is like a very high level skill of figuring out how to get your base of the club to the ball and be able to manipulate it in the ways that you want. So maybe at a certain, and this is kind of what you were talking about earlier, of like I can get someone to bench from like 500 to 5 or squat like 500 to 525. Like does that really like change anything? They're trying to work on, can I get this guy a little bit stronger, a little bit faster? Like movement quality is probably better with all that, because a lot of that stuff comes to like timing, rhythm, like all those things that end up kind of coming into it that creates sport. Because like the best athletes aren't always the best like players within their sport. Like the most freakish, God-given, talented athletes might not be the best player within their sport because they don't have. If you're in basketball, Giannis Antetokounmpo is unreal, freakishly athletic.
so impressed you can say his last name.
I just mumble, so it sounds like I know what I was talking about. But I just roll everything together. But like, if you look at him, like he's probably the most like physically gifted one, like player within within the NBA. But like, if you're going to talk about who's the best NBA player, you're probably looking at. I mean, right now I don't even know because I don't follow the NBA as close as I used to. But like, LeBron James is the most gifted athlete of all time, and at a certain point, like he was probably the most like gifted, like true basketball player. Like he could shoot. He could dribble, pass, jump, like all you just do everything together. But it's like now you got this guy that's even more athletically gifted than LeBron was, that isn't dominating like Steph Curry was, because Steph Curry could shoot the ball well. And so Steph wasn't going to worry about, can I get bigger, faster, stronger to play basketball? He's going to say, how can I like control my center of balance better so when I jump to shoot, I can not fall over or hurt my ankle, because he ended up having ankle problems for years. And it's like there's all these little minute things that you could do within sport-specific stuff. Now, if you're talking about like programming, and I think this is what happens a lot of times, is you get strength coaches that are in this like bench, squat, deadlift mentality of just like get bigger, get faster, get stronger. That's all of a sudden going to like help make you a better athlete. That's going to give you qualities that you could use to be more athletic. But like there's still all of these small like proprioceptive qualities. And then you have like a sector of people that only focus on that. They only focus on like, oh, don't worry about lifting heavy. Just see if you can like balance on like one leg on a Bosu ball. And it's like that doesn't challenge them really either. Like you got a guy that has a shoulder issue that you won't bench, but then you put them on like a tsunami bar bench and have them do like single arm medicine ball like bench pressing. And it's like they're going to still have, if you load the shit out of them on a bench, they're still going to have shoulder problems. If you do this dumb exercise that you thought of, they're still going to have shoulder problems. Like, get something very simplistic that you can get them in full range of motion to help clear and make sure their shoulders can function well. Then load it. And then hopefully, if they're like a defensive lineman, they're now able to like actually be stable within their shoulder when they're pass rushing someone. Like, those are things that like we just completely skip over because it sounds so simple. Where it's like, I want to force bench press into a program, so they try to do that. Or I want to stay so far away from doing any of this heavy training stuff. So I'm going to go in this like I'm going to run in this opposite direction and do something that's like just so out of the box that just looks cool, and I can make it say like functional. And it's like it's not functional. Like what function are you doing when you do that? You know?
Yeah, it's you. Trust me. If anybody who's listening has followed me on YouTube or Instagram, they've seen me rant about that enough times. I think there's a Da Vinci quote that's probably fake. It's like simplicity is the purest form of sophistication, something like that. So like we could talk about the ins and outs of sports specificity, and for me, it's like if I want to look at kicking or baseball, like what is there a lot of? There's a lot of rotation of a pelvis on a fixed femur. What does that look like in practice or in the weight room? I don't know, B stance RDL, front foot elevated split squat, something where I am rotating my pelvis on a fixed femur. So I'm training hip internal rotation. I'm rotating the pelvis. I'm doing that in a way that's loadable. So I'm already going to be getting the more dynamic or the more, velocity component of that out of my sport. And if I'm not, we can still do that in more ballistic or plyometric ways as well. But like that's sports specificity. It's not me attaching a cable to your leg. Speaking of like golf, for example, I had this guy down in Jacksonville. I think his name's Jackson, actually. He paid me for a consult, and he was pulling up all of his like, what's like all the tech they use in golf. You know what I'm talking about? They have these like force plate things that measure like how you displace force between front leg to back leg. They have all these cameras that measure like your rotation and stuff. It's sick.
Crazy. Yeah.
And I was like, before I got on with him, I was like, look, dude, I don't know shit about golf. I don't know shit about technology, but like you can walk me through what you see, and I'll tell you what I see from an S&C side of things. And a lot of it's like, this person generally lacks rotation. So like, what should we do? I don't know. Maybe some things that help rotation, especially from the shoulders. Like they would suck at like protraction and retraction, or more like thoracic rotation. So I'm like, I don't know. Do a landmine press, do a hook lying dumbbell press, do a single arm dumbbell row. And like a lot of the shapes they lacked. And these are like generally weaker kids. Like golfers don't tend to be like, what's the jack dude? DeChambeau.
Yeah. Bryson.
Yeah, like most like he's as much of a unicorn as you are. Where like most kickers are like skinny tall dudes, and like most golfers are like just skinny dudes in general. I think Tiger Woods made it a bit more hip to be that kind of jacked. Like at one point, him and like Rory and a bunch of guys got kind of juiced up. But
Tiger was lifting with like Navy SEALs and stuff. Tiger had some cool like stories about him in the weight room, but
like so there is that like. And talking about Giannis, for example, like when he came into the league, he was kind of frail for his frame. So like he put on a lot of muscle, put on a lot of strength. So like he built general quality. So when it comes to strength and conditioning, that's what I see. I'm like, what's our potential for us to fill out in our frame? What's our potential for us to improve qualities we need in sport, whether it is strength, like general strength, whether it is general speed or power, like let's do those things. At the same time, it's not like this or that. We're still looking at, position specific things. We're looking at athlete specific things. Like, do I bias hip ER versus IR? How do my feet move? How do my shoulders move? How to organize my rib cage, right? We can, it's not necessarily like the exercises that we're choosing either. Obviously we can choose exercises that will check that box, but it's how we coach movements too, right? I could have you and, insert another 6'4" skinny kicker in the league, do the same exercise for the same reason, but I could coach you guys through it differently based off what you need for your body, right? So it's like, the specificity side of things gets so like ass backwards in terms of what you see. Because again, if I looked up like kicking specific training, I'm gonna find some slapdick with a cable around his ankle doing like a weighted like reverse kickback, you know. And it's like, are we gonna get stronger at kicking by doing a cable weighted kick? Probably not. That's like me shooting free throws with the fucking medicine ball. I've never seen Steph Curry do that.
No, 100%. I think like going back to one of your comments too, like doing simple things in the weight room is actually very complicated. Like it's actually very, very complicated if you know what you're looking at.
Right.
You could do something that's very, very simple and you could break it down and make it as complex as you want it to. But like I almost think that trying to be too complex with your training is actually like kind of simple minded. Like it's like, oh, we got to add all these crazy like variables into it, and that's what's going to make it more complex, and that's what's going to make it better for this athlete. It's like, no, that's a very simple way of thinking about it because it's not that simple, but it's also not that hard to do. The program is going to look very, very simple. The things that we're going to teach are very, very simple, but it's very, very complex in the way that we're doing it because again, like the reason why I'm doing something for one athlete might be because they have like a wide rib cage versus like a more narrow rib cage, and so like their ability to rotate's like greater or less, and like maybe they, like you said, they might bias ER or IR, so I might pick a different exercise, but like those are very simple changes, but they're for like very complex like kind of solutions for these issues for people or diagnoses for these people so that you can actually get the like desired outcome from what your training is actually supposed to accomplish versus like it's funny to me, again, I still go into the weight room and like the most simple like machines that you might put an athlete on, like they don't know how to do. Like if you ask some of these athletes to do some crazy task, like they can do that easier than they can do a seated hamstring curl.
I was going to use that exact example. I'm like, I think a seated hamstring curl is one of the best exercises an athlete can do. And I would not trust a single one of them to do it on their own correctly. Like they're going to slide as far forward as they can. They're going to arch their back, right? They're not going to get any sort of contact point of their back on the pad. They're not going to control their pelvis. Their feet are going to turn out. They're going to throw the weight down. It's like, okay, like there's so much coaching to go on right here that's going to help us check so many boxes in terms of like rib cage to pelvis relationship, you know, keeping stability of the pelvis while we're moving the hamstring through knee flexion, challenging the hamstrings in isolation, which we never really do, right? Some tibial internal rotation. There's like all these things can add up, you know, to a lot of what we want to get to improve just durability or even performance on the field.
And it's all in a machine that you sit down and you put your legs up on a bar and you take the rest down and you just start moving. And that's like...
But seated hamstring curls aren't functional, so fuck you.
Yeah, it's just like those are the most simplistic answers to that and has the most complex reasoning behind it. But like people want to run away from it because of what? It's a machine. And so you label the machine as like a bodybuilding equipment. And so you don't want to do it because it's bodybuilding and we're not bodybuilders, we're athletes. It's like, okay, like then you don't actually know how to do this. And so therefore you can't write my entire programming not knowing like what this very simple machine could do for me in this like holistic approach to my training program. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think that that's like the most. We had this conversation recently. Someone thought that there was no eccentric part of a seated hamstring curl.
Somehow, I don't know
how
you can defy gravity like that, but
so there's no eccentric part of a seated hamstring curl. But then Nordic curls are the answer to the programming for someone that has a hamstring injury. The certain person that can't control their pelvis, they can't get in a seated hamstring curl, but they can Nordic curl.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. I feel like machines are going to almost be like what protein used to be. One of my clients, just to fuck with me, they gifted me a Jane Fonda workbook, like exercise workbook from like 19 whatever. And I kind of glanced through it, and there's a chapter where it's like you should eat as little protein as possible. Like doctors recommend you eat 40 grams or less of protein per day because protein's bad for your kidneys, is bad for, you know, X, Y, and Z. That's like how machines get labeled. It's like they're not functional or like they're bad for your joints. Like the quad extensions going to give you shear force through your knees, and it's like you guys are so dumb. We're gonna look back, I don't know, much sooner than later, I think, and be like, oh, dude, machines are sick. Not only for just longevity, for aesthetics, for sports performance. Like, there's so much utility using machines.
I think that the the progression almost for weight room for, like, let's say I was a high school football player, should be the barbells and the free weights and all this stuff. And I think you should literally work on like a regression of the complex movements, compound movements while you're training as you get to the NFL. Because like now, like you're trying to get like proprioceptive qualities, you're trying to get this like total strength, all these things in high school, and then like in college, you're probably still able to like maximize all the freaking testosterone you got going. Like you could still put on a lot of weight and whatever, like muscle. So then all of a sudden when you get to the NFL, it's like it should be probably a lot more machines and like very isolated movements because you are now fine tuning. You are not like mass gaining. You're just like, hey, I suck at doing this little movement, but I'm really good at my sport. So like, let me just get better at this one little movement. It's like, okay, well, let's barbell bench you. It's like,
Yeah, I
like
mean,
I don't.
it kind of goes back to what I was just saying about like the training, in my opinion, as complex as we might talk about certain things, within the items that we've chosen. Like most of the training that I do with my guys is super simple. Like and it's like, again, it's going back to just doing things to give them more variability, get them stronger positionally. Like obviously we can get more specific than that, but like it's not doing a bunch of like barbell bench press and back squats. And like, I'll put a barbell on guys' backs. Like I do it all the time. I'll put a barbell in their hands. It's not that the barbell is an issue, but it's like, it's not the primary tool most of the time.
Because I think the fact that some of those movements are so
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
skill oriented that it's like I've kind of had a shift in my thought process with this over the last few years. Is like there is a lot of technical cueing when it comes to doing a squat. Like there's a shit ton that comes into doing a squat. So instead of like trying to fight around all these like random issues you're gonna see from a squat, just put someone on a leg press and have them like cue that easier, and you can still get a desired outcome for certain positions that you may want from the squat, but like you're just doing it in a way that output could be your main driver of the reason why you're doing it versus this like very technical skill that you're trying to progress someone into doing. Bench press, same thing. Like a lot of these compound movements with barbell compound movements are like very technically demanding, and so it fits this like argument that people have had within S&C for years of like, oh, I don't have enough time to teach them that. I just got to get them loaded and get them going. It's like, okay, so then the best thing for you to do would be to put them in a bunch of machines, just coach the machine to this person, and then let them rock. Like the confines of it are so like safe for them. Like I don't want to blow this person's pec out, but I'm gonna dumbbell bench them. But I don't want to put them on a hammer strength chest press machine because I don't want to blow their pec out. It's like one of them has a dumbbell that they got to figure out how to stabilize with their shoulder, and if they have the inability to get into like protraction and retraction, they're not going to be able to do that. But you're afraid to put them on a chest press machine because of what? They're going to load it too heavy for them? Like that's
Maybe coach them the same way you coach them on the dumbbell bench press, right? Maybe just coach them in the better positions.
That's probably a lot easier to coach them on that too, because they have all these external stability.
Exactly, that's the point of the machine. Honestly, is like just to give more touch points, give more external stability, make it easier for you to execute in the right positions.
Yeah, it's like I think that part of the professional athleticism is actually just like figuring out how many ways that you can exhibit your force, speed, power in different ways that are safe enough for you to do so, but you got to do it at a high enough intensity that it's beneficial for your sport. So it's like, how do I exhibit force fast while still maintaining like some level of safety? It's like put them on like a machine that you can do the same thing. I just don't. I think it's. I don't know if it's like the perception of it. Like I don't know, but just people they run away from it like it's a problem, and I think it's something that they should honestly be leaning into because of how the game of the NFL is changing, how the game in a lot of these sports are changing. Like your ability to stay healthy is one of obviously your biggest points to make money. Like your best ability is availability. But like we are starting to have people that are so freakishly athletic and so so twitchy, so fast, so big. So it's like we've never had people that are this big, this fast, and this strong playing these sports before. And so a lot of times I think it's like you got to start to change the training to meet these needs. And a lot of times that's just give them more opportunities to exhibit that force and do it more frequently so they can get better at doing those things. And a lot of times it's like, okay, let's like shrink our, like if you're bowling, just shrink your bumpers so that you can bowl a strike every single time. Like don't give them the ability to throw a gutter ball, just squeeze it so tight that the only thing you do is throw a strike. Give them that opportunity and they're gonna go crazy with it, you know.
And it's not like you can't progress from there or have like variability within session. Like maybe I do some things that I can throw some gutter balls on, but like on the things I really need to get done, I'm going to make it as easy to get those things done, at least in the short term, before I want to expand on that.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's kind of a segue there. What would your advice be? Because I think traditional training for kickers is just so shitty for everything that I see. What would your advice be for the young bucks out there kicking balls that want to get better at kicking balls?
I mean,
From a training perspective, not the skill side.
I'm gonna say there's two sides of that. Skill side of it, I would obviously pick the right coach and pick the person that knows what they're talking about when they're kicking. And that's a list that or a talking point we don't want to go down.
I was gonna say,
yeah, that's an area we don't want to go down. But once you figure that out, a lot of times like I've had these parents at some of these camps go out to me like, hey man, like how do you get your leg speeds faster and how do you get your this strong? It's just like go run, go jump, go move, like go do something else. Like a lot of times they start. I mean, you've been seeing this within like kid populations over the last couple of years. Like there's such a quick specificity within sports for these guys. Like I played baseball, basketball, football, soccer. I ran track and field. I freaking bowled. I golfed. I literally did like almost any sport I could do. Like I tried to play as many sports as I could. My parents put me into as many things as I could. So I just got used to like competing and playing, and like that was just it. Now it's like you're 4 years old, you play t-ball, and then like you never play another sport again, and then all of a sudden you're 7 years old and they're pitching, and that you're only going to pitching camps. You're only going to be the pitcher. You're never going to play another position. It's just like they get so quick into that, and you're starting to now see that a little bit with kicking. Parents have realized like my kid's not athletic, like super athletic, like he's not great at soccer, but he can kick a ball, but he's just not fast. He's not going to play football because we don't get him hurt, but he does want to kick. So let's try to see if we can get him to kick. And hey, how do I get my leg swing or leg speed faster? It's like I just watched you run over here, and your like knees are knocking against each other.
You're like your kid is built like a fucking wet rag. Like maybe that's the first place to start.
Yeah, literally just go lift. It's like, well, there's got to be like an exercise that's like specific for leg speed. It's like, well, I mean, that's technically running, but you obviously can't run like the way that you just galloped over here. So like, you're just going to have to work on growing up. Like a lot of these kids too are like 14 years old. Like they just hit a growth spurt and they're trying to figure out how to swing their leg. And it's like, dude, they don't even know how to walk. But I think that just getting in the weight room in any capacity is going to be beneficial. I don't think getting into the weeds of being like very sport specific with kicking is important, especially when you're younger, just because a lot of it's just mechanical timing and you just want to figure out how to move your body well. And then once you understand that and you understand what kicking actually is coming from, like how to actually swing your leg is trying to get like quick hip flexion and knee extension at the exact same time while rotating. It's all timing. And then once you understand what you're trying to do when you kick, which is the skill aspect, then it's like you can start to train for those things, like doing some like glute ham raise crunches for hip flexor work, or you can do that freaking rotational machine that we have over at DMV Iron that is working like hip flexion. You could just even do like banded hip flexion stuff. You can do like there's a multitude of things that you could do, but like the first part of it is just get strong enough to like support yourself when you are swinging your leg fast. And if you can do that, then you can pretty much learn how to kick. And if you can't, I don't want to say that you can't kick, but it's going to be a long road ahead of you before you have any opportunity to kick a ball really far.
Yeah, honestly, I'd group kickers in with like the golfers earlier. Like, if you just get generally strong, I'm not saying that you need to be a fucking power lifter, but like, just what's the saying? Like, build the engine. Like, you getting strong is going to improve your ability to utilize your nervous system to produce force to kick a ball harder. So, like, from a general standpoint, like, again, like, what's the benefit of playing a bunch of sports? It's like probably building a lot of different motor skills, right? So it's like get strong, get better at moving through basic patterns. Like, those are the things that are gonna make you better at kicking out the gate, and then we can get more specific once you're not built like a dish rag.
Well, with golf, like this is another point of what I was thinking about. It's like they're working on like their swing speed for their driver, and so it's like you working on that is actually going to change like how you might swing on some of your other stuff. So like if you're only focused on getting your swing speed fast for your driver to hit freaking 190 ball speed to drive the ball, 300 something yards, it's like what is the reasoning for doing that? It's like, oh, well, I want to get closer to the hole. It's like, okay, great. That's what golf is. But it's like, what is your reasoning for doing that? It's like, well, I want to get closer because if I have a 50-yard shot into the pin versus a 150-yard shot, I'm better with my, 50-yard club. Then a lot of these guys are working swing speed to get them to drive, 350 yards, and they're 50 yards away from the pin. But then they like blade a chip across the green because they're not good with their hands from 50 and in. So then it's like, why don't you just get more consistent being a 150-yard shot with your pitching wedge or whatever it ends up being? Like, you should just be more consistent with those clubs. Like, there's a skill aspect to that is so much more important than just being the longest driver. Because the longest driver on tour is not the best golfer.
The
Like,
the longest drivers are doing fucking long drive competitions. That's all they're
that's
good
what I'm
at.
saying. Yeah, exactly. So it's like their swing speed got faster. Well, guess what? They still don't know how to chip and putt. So it's like the game is about the game is more important actually the closer you get to the hole, because when you're 50 and in and you can't get up and down to say par, or if you can't putt and you can't make putts over freaking 15 feet, you're not birdieing anything, you're gonna win. But like, I mean, the best golfer right now is Scotty Scheffler, and he's not the longest driver. He honestly doesn't even have the nicest swing of all time. But like, the one thing that he is really good at is controlling his club face every single time. So it's like he understands exactly where it's at in plane, figures out how to get his club back onto it, and hits the shape that he wants. And you also hear him talking with his caddy. He's talked about it in a couple of his like podcasts and some of the like golf channel things that he's done. Is he like doesn't pin hunt. Like, he's not like, when he's on his approach shots, he's not like, hey, this pin's on the back right, I'm gonna hit this ball to the back right of the pin. Like, he's not thinking that. He's like, where's the middle of the green? Okay, it's right here. Perfect. I'm gonna see if I can hit the middle of the green. And then if he cuts it into the pin and it's been the back right, it's like, oh, cool, I got closer to the pin. If he like pulls it and it's on the left side of the green, he's like, well, I'm on the green. Like, I just missed my spot by a little bit. But like, he plays the game different, and I that's kind of going down like a rabbit hole. But like, when it comes to kicking for me, I'm I am so not I am done with this idea of like I need to kick it far, because like I've had a strong leg my whole life. I know that I can kick it far. I know I have one of the strongest legs in the NFL. Like, that's cool. But like, if you don't make kicks, it doesn't matter. If you just get really good at understanding like how to get your swing repeated and how to know exactly what to do every single time you step up to a ball, the strength of everything's going to come, especially with the repetition of just knowing how to kick. So like, you don't really have to go into this deep dive of like, how do I specifically get my leg swing, like my leg speed to be faster. It's more, how do I get super consistent with my technique on kicking, and then when the speed comes, how do I then control that, like post me kicking? That's more of the important part when it comes to
Yeah.
our job, at least.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that have made decent careers in the league, even if they weren't, like long tenured anywhere, but like bouncing around because they're super accurate. They might turn into a pumpkin past 50 yards, but like their money inside 50. And like, as long as you're doing that, like, you're gonna make some money. Which, if you're trying to train your 14-year-old to do that, like, hey, like, grab some NIL money. If you can bounce around the league, like, if you're just accurate, like, you don't have to be nuking balls from 65 yards.
That's like honestly one of the problems when you go to all these like college camps with kickers is like they want to see like a couple of these big ball kids like just hit a couple crazy kickoffs. They hit these like big like 50, 60 something yard field goals. But there's always been like it's funny when I was at Virginia Tech, we had a I was helping with one of the camps that they're recruiting kids, and I'll go ahead and name names because their paths have actually given them some success. But Jordan Stout came out to
Dude,
the
hold on.
camp.
Dude, Jordan Stout nuked like 60. I think he has the Virginia high school football record because we were playing them. He played at Honaker, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So my sophomore year of high school, they were like the 1 seed. We went down to Honaker, got yelled at down in the coal mines, and we should have upset them. We got beat in like the last couple minutes of the game. So they came to play us in Radford, and we boat raced them. We beat them like 38-3. But the 3 points they scored was Jordan Stout kicked like a 63-yard field goal going into halftime, and that was like the craziest shit I'd ever seen in high school. Like it was down the middle. Like there's no fucking way this kid's gonna make this shit. So that's at like that was probably 17, 18 years old.
yeah. No, I mean he's had a strong leg his whole life. Like when he came to the camp, he was booming the ball. He came a little bit late because he was coming from a soccer tournament, and he kicked. He kicked well, but he just had a big leg. Like you could just tell he just had like a crazy, crazy dumb leg. Well, it's like there's another kid that was at that camp, and his name was Nick Skiba. And Nick ended up getting a scholarship finally to Wake Forest. Nick Skiba is statistically the best field goal kicker in college football history. Nick Skiba's like career stats, I think, was like 91 point something percent field goal percentage. Now, this is not his fault because he's never really attempted it. I don't think he had a kick over 50 in his career, but he was literally 91% inside of 50 in his entire career. And so it's like he was at that same camp. We didn't offer him. And I was kind of like, I had known Skiba because he was one of Dan's guys coming up. So I had known he was there. And I was watching him kick, and I was just like, I mean, this kid hasn't missed. We moved back to like 53. He made it, missed, I think, from 55, like just outside the right upright. But then Jordan came like a little bit later, hit like a few field goals, missed one, made one, missed one. Then like backed it up to like 68 or something like that and made it. And then hit a couple kickoffs, and they were like, oh, we're going to give this kid a scholarship. And I mean, to sit here, like I was kind of like pot kettle black. Like I did the same shit when I was like coming out of high school. I was not super consistent, but I had a crazy, crazy big leg. And so, but I wasn't freaking scholarship when I got to Virginia Tech. Um, and so just like seeing like this kid now, obviously like Jordan, like to make this story even funny, like Jordan never kicked field goals at Virginia Tech. He transferred to Penn State, punted. I think he was like the long field goal kicker for a year at Penn State and was the punter. And now he's a punter in the NFL. He just won.
Let's say now
he was all pro bowler this year at punting this year.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think he's too upset
yeah,
about it.
yeah.
But like he never kicked field goals. Now on the other side of it, Skiba never got a chance really at the NFL. I think he had a rookie minicamp with the Steelers for the season, and had a couple preseason games with them, but he never played in the league. And I mean, Skiba could still come out and make freaking every field goal inside of 50 right now. I kick with him every once in a while in the off seasons, but it's just like, I mean, now with the days of NIL, like you can make over a couple years as a kicker, as long as you just make your kick like your kicks inside of 50. And you watch college football right now, like there's there's a huge problem with like guys that might come in and have a big leg. They're super inconsistent for their college, but then all of a sudden you either see guys that have NFL talent and you'll see that on full display, or you just see a guy that's like super consistent inside of 50, and that's just all you're gonna get. So
Let's do before we have people fall asleep from the golf stuff, let's do some rapid fire stuff to finish up. What was I going to ask you? Speaking of Blacksburg, how was it playing? How was it playing there? I remember going. I mean, obviously, I grew up near Tech. My dad went to Tech, mom went to Tech. Went to games growing up. Inner Sandman was always sick. I remember being on the field for the first time when we played there my sophomore year. I could just feel like the Inner Sandman come on and like the whole ground on the field starts shaking. You're like, holy shit.
no, it's awesome. I mean, the environment for game day was great. I was there at a time where we had the transition between Beamer and Fuente, and so I got to have 2 years of practice with the legend every single day. Beamer was down at the field with us, kicking before practice or kicking in the beginning of practice, and he'd come up and kind of finish the rest of the practice with the rest of the team. But got to be with him a bunch. That was awesome. Obviously, Fuente was a good dude too for us, and we had a couple good years under him when I was there. So, no, I mean, I get to go back next week, so I'm excited to be back in Blacksburg for a little bit. But need to get back
But
for a
yeah,
game. Haven't been there in like 5 years for a game, so I need to get back for sure.
it's tough in season, I'm sure.
You got to have it lined up perfectly with our bye week or Thursday night game, and then they got to be home at that same time. And
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's tough.
Do you have a favorite kicker of all time?
No, I mean,
Not
I have
yourself.
people.
Not yourself.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't grow up like really kicking, so it wasn't like I was like
Yeah.
watching kickers and being like, oh, that's my guy. I love him to death. Like I want to kick like him. I honestly stumbled into kicking in my profession. Like I stumbled into it to get into college, and then kind of I don't want to say I stumbled into it into the NFL. Like I worked hard to get here, but it wasn't it wasn't my like initial desire. So
You weren't
the
going to camps at 12 years old.
the first one I went to was when I was a junior in high school, and I started
There
realizing
we
like, oh,
go.
I could probably do this. Yeah, no, I was not doing that when I was younger. So
I didn't know if you were like romanticizing Sebastian Janikowski nuking 60 yarders at like 280 pounds.
I like. I mean, I've watched football my whole life, but I didn't watch it with like that kind of level of understanding of who kickers were. Like I just knew. I think I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan growing up, so I think we had Jeff Reed as our kicker. It might have been our punter, but I was more like a Heinz Ward Troy Polamalu fan, and
Yeah, of course. I wanted to be a linebacker your whole life.
yeah, Larry Foote, James
What's
Farrier, all those guys.
Yeah, fuck yeah. We'll finish with this. What's the most meathead thing you've ever done? It could be training. It could be blending a dozen eggs and drinking it. I don't know.
Uh,
Giving yourself
I mean,
rhabdo.
yeah, no, I mean the most meathead thing I did was with Colton at Tech when we went to New River Fitness. We went like for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, for like any opportunity that we had to go over there, we would go. And we would leave my apartment at like 11:30 at night. So we wouldn't get to New River till like 12:15. And then we would lift there for like 2.5 hours of just like shirts off, music blaring, just like getting an absolute like douchebag pumping, doing like like we would start being like we're gonna do back today, and then we go in there, we would do back and buys and chest and tries, and then we would just start like yeah, just full on meathead, and then we would leave there at like freaking 2:30 in the morning, get back and try to function back. It's like players again the next day, but like it was completely stupid. But yeah, that was probably the most meathead stuff I would do.
I think one of my favorite moments of us training in the gym was we were just doing like drop set dumbbell curls one day and you started running the rack and you were like, honestly, running the rack is so stupid. But if you haven't done it, I don't respect you.
Oh, 100%. There's that old school mentality of like certain things that you've done in the weight room that like you give mad respect for people that have done it. Like we had man makers at Virginia Tech when you come back from winter conditioning, and Gentry would have like or the winter break we'd do man makers. So you take like I think it was like 50% of your 1 rep max on squat. You'd have to rep it for 20 reps, 2 sets of 20. No. Yeah, like
Not
hell no.
fun.
I would never do that again. I think that was one of the dumbest things we could have ever done. But like I also like don't respect you if you've never done that. Like if you've never played with lifting like that, like there I am all for the science perspective of where training is going and all those things, but like doing some of the just hey, let me see if I can like beat my own like mental strength. Like let me just see how hard I could push myself. Those are always things that I think are important to do every once in a while.
Yeah. Dude, I remember doing German volume training. This would have been my senior spring and I had lost like 30 pounds. I got so skinny after I got done playing ball. I did German volume training back squats at 225 and I had DOMs for like literally 10 days.
Yeah, I
Crazy.
mean, I mean, even back in college when you do like mat drill stuff and like winter conditioning, like the dumbest stuff you could do. Like literally, well, we wake up at 5:30 in the morning, meet at the facility, go do like crazy training just to do training. They freaking yelling and screaming at you. We couldn't put our hands on our hips. Like they would film us if we put our hands on our hips. So like you wouldn't like make it to the next day. It was just dumb. But it was like this team bonding, like can you withstand like beating yourself up for an entire week or 2 weeks of training and see if you can get through it. Like that was all part of it. But like from an S&C like science perspective, like the dumbest thing you could probably do for a lot of people. But again, I don't respect you if you've ever done that stuff.
For whatever reason, that reminds me. I keep getting like highlight reels of the Florida Gators prison team in the weight room. Have you seen these? Dude, they're kind of hype. I'm like, I don't care how stupid this is. Like, I want to get in there and do this shit.
We used to, in high school, we used to watch the Florida Gators winter conditioning stuff as like a hype video for us to go like train on Fridays. Because we also in high school we could do big squat Friday. We would squat as heavy as we could. We'd always have a rep and set scheme in high school, but we'd always go way past it and do way more weight than we were supposed to. So essentially, I'm maxing out at like 400 pounds trying to squat in high school. Do it for as many reps as I could and as many sets as I could. RDL heavy shit right after that. See how many reps and sets I could do. And then we go out there and we run 16 110s in the middle of the heat in August. Like that's what we were doing in high school. So like we we'd set ourselves up for failure in a lot of different ways. But again, like that's all part of like the want and wish to keep training. Is like I loved doing that. Like there were certain points that I did love doing that. But now I want to find a way to still scratch that itch without like waking up the next morning and like not being able to feel my legs.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to finish. You have any closing remarks?
Appreciate you and the work that we've done over 5 years now.
Yeah, something like that.
So super appreciative of you and both the weight room stuff and just the growth of knowledge that I've had over the last few years with you has just been very pivotal and important for me going into my training in the league and what I want to do post football. So I'm super thankful that our paths has crossed as many times as they have and have put us in a situation where every offseason I know where I'm going. So
Hell yeah. Appreciate you, dude.
yeah, no problem, dude.